Hey, welcome back to Faith, Fellowship, and MTG. My name is Hunter. This is part 2 of my series, Mastering Mulligans. So last time we talked about 3 things to ask yourself to make better mulliganing decisions. The first of which was, does your hand present a win, or does it advance you towards a win? So let's expand on that. Okay, so let's talk about a couple of different types of hands here. So obviously this hand is bonkers. It's really good. So you're not gonna always have hands like this, but I want to just show you a very simple idea of what a really good hand looks like. Just so you have an idea of, this is clearly this can present a win. So turn 1, obviously, you have land, Imperial Seal that you can go for. You also have Mana Crypt, so I mean you could turn 1 land, Crypt, Bowmaster, Imperial Seal, or I mean you could just go straight up for just a turn 1 Necropotence, which is probably the best play. So obviously I would imagine it'd be pretty difficult for your opponents to deal with a turn 1 Necropotence, so you're probably going to be resolving that, which means that you're going to have a Necropotence with a land and a Mana Crypt and a Dockside and another tutor in your hand already. So probably going to present a win, but just wanted to show you an idea of what an easy way to identify a good hand in this particular fashion. Obviously this is an extreme, just an example. Okay, so let's talk about a different hand here. This hand has a couple of problems. One being that there is no payoff in hand. So you got a bunch of mana and you're pretty much not going to do anything with it. That's kind of the issue. So on the other end of the spectrum, we just went over a hand that was just pretty ridiculous. And was probably just going to get you a win within the first 2 turns, where this hand is going to play a bunch of mana. You can probably cast a commander, and then that's about all you're going to do. The Phyrexian Tower with no creatures in the hand is pretty much a dead card. You're probably not going to want to cast a defense grid and pass the turn, so probably not something that you're going to be interested in. The Chrome Mox you can play and imprint your Yawgmoth's Will, and that is about it. So kind of on the other end of the extreme here, not a fantastic hand. This definitely would be a mulligan for me. Obviously you can top deck something, depending on what your commander is or isn't. It could gain you some sort of advantage, but what if your commander dies? What if someone instantly lightning bolts your commander, or in another case maybe just a red elemental blast, because your commander is Crom and you're trying to cast a turn 1 Crom. Not that this hand can do that, but just in general. So if you're only relying on your commander to gain that value, this is a dead hand. If you don't have commanders that provide value, it's probably a dead hand. So definitely a mulligan. Alright, so different hand here. On the surface, this one looks very playable. You have a turn 1 Ragavan into a Mox Amber that will only make red mana for now, but like on the surface, if you're playing Tymna deck, like this is a turn 2 Tymna all day long. So you're gonna probably turn 2 make a treasure, get a card off the top of somebody's deck and draw a card from a Tymna trigger if you can cast a Tymna first, obviously with hitting your land drops here. So a couple of things. Depending on what your seed order is, this might actually not be playable. So when you're thinking long term, what does this hand actually do? It gets me a turn 2 Tymna. Sure, you can draw some cards. Well, you have a Gemstone Caverns here. If you're going first, it's a colorless land. Doesn't help you a whole lot. Maybe not ideal. You're later in turn order. You're being able to play the Gemstone and exile a card. What are you exiling? Is it the Citadel? Citadel's probably one of your win cons, but you can't really cast it, so maybe that's the choice. So a couple of tough decisions here in that regard. But what if you're sitting behind a Stax player and they turn 1 play Adranus Magistrate? Well, now your whole plan's blown up, because now you can't turn 2 a Tymna because you're sitting behind a Stax player that just locked you out of being able to cast your commanders. So a couple of things to think about there. Also, this hand doesn't really do anything or interact with your opponents. So if you have a Rock's-Eye player that's in seat 1, they're probably going to try to present a win on turn 1 or 2, usually. So, if you just got a Ragavan and a Tymna out and you're tapped out, on turn 2, there's probably not much you can do. So just a couple of things there to think about. But, like I said, on the surface, this is a playable hand. It is a reasonable hand, but is it going to be the best? Is this going to actually do anything? Is it going to advance your game plan? What are you going to be doing with it, mid to late game? Because this is obviously not a turn 1 or 2 win. So just some food for thought there. Thanks for watching, everybody. If you have some crazy mulligan stories where you might have kept a pretty sketchy hand and then top decked, or if you were just a regular person that just mulligans really well, would love to hear about it in the comments. Like, subscribe. Thanks for joining me. We'll see you in the next one.